Everyone remembers this episode for mainly one of the most popular moments and one of the most unforgettable moments when it comes to characters and obviously the facial expression that we're all familiar with. And with this, along with the following episode concluding Peridot's arc, I'm gonna be really real with you that I've remembered the scenes from this episode and also screenshots and images of it before I watched it, mainly back in 2016. And to tell you the truth, my first binge watch of this, I was honestly satisfied from watching this episode. After they come back from the moon, Peridot had a communicator that she got just before they left the moon, but this made Steven suspicious. And after Peridot explained who Yellow Diamond is, Steven took the communicator from her. But just when he told the Crystal Gems that she took the communicator on her true plan to use it to communicate with Yellow Diamond, Peridot escapes and steals the communicator from them, which leads to Amethyst turning into a helicopter. Despite not being a fan of Thomas the Tank Engine, while being a fan of Pixar Cars, but obviously not the spin-off, I really felt like that this is mainly Amethyst's knowledge of after watching the Dark Copter movies, and she wants to be a helicopter. In all honesty, judging of how that she would probably been a lot more serious, like being a jet plane or something, then I'm pretty sure that this is the only way for Amethyst to actually form into a flying vehicle, considering that helicopters are slower and mostly easier to form into. But that's just me. But despite that the characters tried to stop Peridot still activated the communicator to talk to Yellow Diamond, thus introducing one of the most memorable debuts when it comes to the diamonds. For me personally, Yellow Diamond had the most standout debut in comparison to Blue and White Diamond. And to tell you the truth, every time I think about this episode, once we get to the second half, while Peridot communicates with Yellow Diamond, it also shows that Peridot has a change of heart, knowing of how that she is smart in comparison to Yellow Diamond, and I'm fully aware that Yellow Diamond is really intimidating when it comes to her powers. With the episode concluding the arc between Peridot and Steven when it came to Peridot getting used to Earth and Steven showing her the way of life on Earth, you can really tell that it's not really up to the test of Peridot when it comes to her relationship with the other gems, since that she ended up betraying the Crystal Gems. And considering that she never experienced on what it's like to be in front of Yellow Diamond by not being confident enough, without the Crystal Gems, she would still be an antagonist from the beginning and all the way towards the end of the series. Then again, when it came to this route being the most memorable, when it comes to Peridot's character, I can guarantee you that she will probably be the less memorable when it comes to her still being an antagonist. Because when she used the communicator to talk to Yellow Diamond, literally everything changed up until when it came to the end of the conversation, which we're all familiar with. But let's get into more about the conversation between Peridot and Yellow Diamond. Honestly, it shows that Peridot's loyalty towards Yellow Diamond is through the roof in comparison to anything that she shows sympathy towards. Up until the point where she actually has a change of heart, judging of how that she has been thinking otherwise of how the Earth is a lot more important rather than destroying it. And believe me, for how Yellow Diamond is portrayed, I really think that the impression that I'm getting from Yellow Diamond is the fact that she's in charge of a military in Homeworld, obviously. But even though that this argument may be weak, she doesn't experience life of what Steven and the other characters went through. And before Avio acts, it's obvious that Homeworld is a highly different planet in comparison to planets like Earth and other planets that aren't gem-related. However, whenever I think about Little Diamond making orders towards people like Peridot, who she is entirely familiar with since that there are multiple Peridots on all the multiple gems with the same attributes and abilities, mainly when it came to the yellow paw, which it informs that at this point of the series there are multiple paws, despite the fact that Peridot always described that there are multiple paws. She lacks any emotions, knowing full well that every single gem that she has, whether it's a paw or Peridot or anything, they don't have feelings whatsoever, since that they only obey when it comes to the colonies that they're in. Believe me when I say this, is that every time that people are going to express that the diamonds are genocidal, I agree on that, and I totally understand as to why it's difficult for them to actually find any sympathy towards the diamonds instead of especially White Diamond. But at the same time, calling them Nazis, even if it may be true, is honestly an overdue argument when it comes to critiquing shows, even if it may reflect real-life events that happened in the past. Believe me, I've already witnessed that the finale of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, that Star Butterfly is officially a Nazi for killing multiple people so that she can get what she wants. But at the same time, I'm not gonna go against people who instantly say that that is one of the worst things, because I'm fully aware of where they're coming from. It's just that, for one, I barely keep up with that show, and second, this show's way of handling mortality is, I'll admit, it's difficult to get adjusted to, but at the same time, it's not like that this show is trying too hard to be the most mortality thing ever, and the messages when it comes to towards the end, mainly the final episode, obviously there's a line that is bound to happen, but at the same time, other shows won't be able to succeed when it comes to mortality things, especially popular shows, which is My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Believe me, whenever I see people find the critique things when it comes to the problems of it, mainly Discord being Gorgar, if I remember his name correctly, and I see people instantly defend it, it really shows that it's expecting too much for the viewer to accept nearly everything. And to tell you the truth, I don't accept everything when it comes to the show's decisions, but at the same time, I don't go against it completely like other people do. One of the reasons why I keep bringing these details up in an episode is mainly the fact that this is my second binge watch. And when it comes to Peridot's arc on calling Yellow Diamond a clod to stand up for herself for how she spent all of her life, well, not really all of her life, but the majority of her time on Earth with the other characters and realizing how important it is, the impression I'm getting is that the gems outside of Pearl, Amethyst, and Garnet don't know much about life and how to handle it normally. It's stupid, but to tell you the truth, when it came to cartoons doing these gimmicks, it's difficult to get into, and I can understand the people critiquing it, that they can't be able to get over the fact that the show went to this direction. But at the same time, it gave me the indication that when Steven stated that he was trying to change Peridot's mind in the first half of the episode, it somewhat foreshadows of what ends up happening in the final episode of this show. I don't even know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but if I'm literally the only one who knows this, which I highly doubt, then I'm mostly like Peridot in this situation. Well, she became a crystal gem, but also the most memorable thing where she did it 3 times, which is honestly the most satisfying thing I've listened throughout this entire season, and maybe the entire show. But at the same time, I'm never going to be a crystal gem, but when it comes to dealing with so much going on, this is basically what everyone will relate to when it comes to Peridot being in this situation if they watch the show a second time. Who am I kidding? Whenever someone made a review off of this episode, they usually rewatch this when they're into Steven Universe and instantly just try to get a grasp of what the episode is trying to tackle. And as far as I'm concerned, this second marathon is obviously not from the greatest point of view of a Steven Universe fan, but at the same time, I'm not like everyone else when it comes to having the same opinions. Anyway, I still found this episode the best out of the Peridot episodes in the Peridot arc. So for me personally, whenever I think about this episode, it's mainly Peridot making a stand for herself, but at the same time, it indicates that her changing her ways is literally what really makes her a lot more better after this episode, since that people really enjoy her performance from this episode, and when it came to the following episodes, they couldn't get enough of Peridot. And trust me, I am gonna tackle those episodes, which is no surprise that I was never going to skip those episodes to begin with. I'm giving this episode a 9.5 out of 10.